Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Okay, so it is 1985. Ronald Reagan is president. Shoulder pads are a choice people are actively making. And somewhere in a cinema near you, a generation of kids and young adults are having their minds absolutely, completely, irreversibly broken, in the best possible way, by a film called Back to the Future, and I want to talk about that film today. Not just because it's brilliant, which it is, but because of what it promised us, what it made us feel, and then, what actually happened. Because, spoiler alert, we did not get the future they showed us. What we got instead is, well, we'll get to that. Trust me, we will get there. But first, Michael J. Fox, the star of the show, Michael J. Fox. Let's talk about the man. The myth. The guy who somehow made a sleeveless puffer vest the coolest piece of clothing in human history. Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly was, and I will die on this hill, one of the most magnetic screen presences of the entire decade. The guy had this quality where you just liked him immediately. You didn't need a backstory. You didn't need a character arc delivered by a voiceover. You just looked at him and went, yeah, I'm with this guy. Wherever he's going, I'm going. He was funny without trying to be funny. He was cool without being smug about it. He played guitar in a way that made every teenage boy want to pick one up, then put it back down when they realized how hard it actually is. And here's the thing. Michael J. Fox brought this incredible physical energy to the role, and that was all good. Every reaction, every double take, every moment of pure wide-eyed panic felt completely real. You believed this kid was terrified. You believed he was brave. You believed he genuinely didn't want to accidentally become his own father's romantic interest, which, as problems go, is quite the specific problem to have. Audiences didn't just watch Marty McFly. They were Marty McFly. And that's not a small thing. That's everything. The screwed-up love story now. The love story from the past that determines the future. Underneath all the time travel and the DeLorean and the lightning bolt and Doc Brown screaming about gigawatts in a car park, underneath all of that, Back to the Future is fundamentally a story about whether two people are going to end up together. And not just any two people, George and Lorraine, Marty's parents. Which is insane, by the way. The entire emotional weight of a blockbuster summer movie rests on whether a kid can successfully set his own parents up on a date. That is a bonkers premise, and it works perfectly. Because the film makes you care. Genuinely care. George McFly, bumbling, spineless, poetry-writing George, is so lovable in his uselessness that you desperately want him to have a win. You want him to get the girl. You want him to punch Biff in the face. You want him to become the confident, successful man Marty knows from 1985. And Lorraine, before she became the slightly wine-forward mom of the future, is charming and funny and completely head over heels for the wrong boy, which honestly is relatable. The film understood something that many blockbusters forget. Spectacle gets people in the seats, but love stories make them cry. And audiences in 1985 cried. They cheered. They left the cinema wanting to hold someone's hand. Imagine that. Leaving a cinema and wanting something good. We miss that in 2026 because 2026 is all about one battler after another. The movie recap from the past. Right, let's quickly recap the film for anyone who, I don't know, has never seen it, or has been in some kind of sensory deprivation tank since 1985. Bless you, welcome back, here's what you missed. Marty McFly is a teenager in Hill Valley, California. His best friend is Doc Brown, an eccentric scientist who, despite apparently being a complete disaster in every other area of his life, has managed to build a time machine out of a DeLorean. Which, honestly, checks out. If you're going to build a time machine, you would put it in a DeLorean. Form absolutely does not follow function there, but the vibes are correct. Doc gets shot by Libyan terrorists. Yes, that's in a children's film. Yes, it was the 80s. Yes, everyone was fine with it, and Marty accidentally ends up going back to 1955. In 1955, Marty accidentally intercepts his own mother's first meeting with his father, meaning she falls for him instead of his dad. Which means if he can't fix this, he will never be born. So he has to play matchmaker for his own parents, while also finding the 1955 version of Doc Brown and convincing him to help send him back to the future using a bolt of lightning. Meanwhile, Biff Tannen, the town bully, local idiot, and walking argument against giving people too much confidence, is making everyone's life miserable. He's a thug with a car and an ego, and he spends the entire film threatening, harassing, and attempting to assault people with no consequences whatsoever, because apparently, in Hill Valley, the social contract just doesn't quite reach him. George eventually punches him. It's glorious. Everything is fixed. Marty gets home. Doc Brown goes to the future. Roll credits. Everyone leaves happy. That's the movie. It's perfect. Go watch it if you haven't. The vision of the future that we didn't get. And then there's the future. Now I will fess up here. The really famous vision of the future comes in part 2. But the original film plants the seed for this idea that the future is changeable, that your choices matter, that the timeline is not fixed, and that human beings have the power to rewrite their own story. Doc Brown literally tells Marty,
"Your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one. Both of you."
Mate, Do you know how good that felt to hear in 1985? The Cold War was still very much a vibe, nuclear anxiety was real, and here's this lovable eccentric with mad hair telling you that the future is yours, that things can be better. And then Back to the Future. Part 2 came along in 1989 and showed us what 2015 was going to look like. Hoverboards, self-lacing trainers, flying cars, video calls, holographic sharks. Now, to be fair, we did get video calls, and Nike did eventually make the shoes briefly as a charity item, which is something. But the spirit of it, this gleaming, optimistic, problems are solvable future, that was the promise. A future that an entire generation was sold from the franchise. Well, how did that work out? The reckoning in 2026. So, the future they promised us from back then. The optimism, the self-lacing trainers, the hoverboards, the sense that human ingenuity, love, and courage could literally rewrite the timeline. Didn't quite land like that. What did we actually get? Well, we got smartphones, which is good. We got the ability to order food without talking to anyone on the phone, which is personally life-changing. We got streaming services, which is fine, except there's 47 of them and somehow none of them have the thing you want to watch. But spiritually? Emotionally? In terms of the vibe of 2026? We got Biff. We got actual Biff. We got a version of Biff so on the nose that if you described him to the writers of Back to the Future in 1985, they would have said, "No, that's too much. Dial it back. Nobody's going to believe a bully that cartoonish ends up in charge of things." Because here's the thing about Biff Tannen that the film absolutely nailed. He's not a clever villain. He's not Machiavellian. He's not pulling strings from the shadows. He's just loud and entitled and physically aggressive and completely convinced that the rules apply to everyone except him. And he keeps failing upward because the people around him either fear him or find him useful. In the alternative 1985 shown in Part 2, Biff has somehow become enormously powerful and turned the town into a dystopian hellscape. He runs things through intimidation. He's made himself untouchable. The newspapers are full of his face. Everyone else is just trying to survive. And if you're watching that scene in 2025 and feeling a very specific and uncomfortable sense of recognition, congratulations, you're paying attention. Donald Trump. And I'm not going to pretend this comparison hasn't been made before, because the writers of Part 2 literally confirmed Biff was partly based on him, is the living, spray-tanned, shout into microphones embodiment of everything Back to the Future warned us about. The bullying, the aggression, the inherited wealth that is presented as personal genius, the absolute brass-necked certainty that consequences are for other people, the little people. The film told us, Biff loses. George punches him. The good guys win. The future is bright. And then a generation that grew up believing that, frigging handed power to the actual Biff twice, while the George McFlys of the world are still waiting nervously at the bottom of the stairs, hoping someone notices their science fiction manuscript. What is our future now? The people who sat in those cinemas in 1985, gripping their popcorn, willing George to get the girl and Marty to make it home, are now in their 40s and 50s. They were promised hoverboards and happy endings. Instead, they're getting food bank queues and politicians who think just asking questions of them is an insult, and any straight answer is beneath them. They were told to speak up, stand up, and be the hero of their own story. And a lot of them have discovered that speaking up comes with a surprisingly high personal cost and a surprisingly low reward. The future isn't whatever you make it, it turns out. The future is mostly whatever the people with the most money and the least shame make it, and then you're invited to be grateful and shut the hell up about it. But here's the thing, and I refuse to end entirely on despair, because that feels like letting them win. Back to the Future also taught us that timelines can change. That one moment, one choice, one person deciding to actually do the right thing instead of just watching from the sidelines can shift everything. George McFly wrote his book. It took him 30 years, but he wrote it. So maybe there's still time, although ideally not in a DeLorean, as those things are structurally unsound. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and remember, roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. Wait, actually, we do need roads. The infrastructure is in a terrible state. But you know what I mean. And with that, I will leave you pondering what the future holds for you, for us, and for the Biffs of this world. It can't be all bad, can it?